All right. Hello, everyone. Just waiting for people to come to the YouTube channel. Mm, So, today we're going to do some photo editing. Um, I hope everyone is having a good time. Hope everyone stays safe these days. So, we're going to do some live streaming on how to edit some travel photos. I took a few from travels to Paris, to Barcelona, and even to the Belgian coast. Um, you can help me. You can make suggestions. Yeah, if you have any questions, please do so. Write in the chat. I will answer all of them as much as I can. So first photo. I mean, we have from the beach in what was the fun days. So there's two different perspectives. As you can see, this is taken with my 2470 2.8 f4. This is a bit of a wider shot. You have these nice clouds in the sky. The second one's a little closer, also an f4. It's sharp, it's pretty sharp. This is an art display. Um, so first of all, what we're going to do when we look at these photos, we're going to see, are they sharp? Yeah, and then we're going to go to some corrections for our lens because I notice these lenses have a lot of dark edges and sometimes there's a little bit of color fringing when there's harsh sunlight or harsh reflections. So we're going to, not to sharpness, we're going here to lens corrections. Going to turn these on. We don't need dark edges here. It's a landscape, it's wide. You want to see the picture flowing to the edges. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to, yeah, just standard sharpening. Don't really need that yet. When I sharpen photos, I usually, because I take them with my 6D Mark II, I have 26 megapixels, which is plenty. It's not that much, not like a Sony mirrorless camera or like a 5D Mark IV that has about 30, 31, 32 megapixels, I think. So sharpness, I usually take about 55 into my caps lock on. It's easy for numbers in Lightroom. So I'm going to do 55 sharpness, normally radius of straal in Dutch. I'm going to leave it at 1. I do portraits. I want a little bit more of a detail, more fine detail, so we're going to do 0.9, 0.8, but that's for another video. Then details, I usually put them at 50, right in the middle. Then mask. When you press the Alt key, and you in the same time you use your slider, you'll notice that the picture turns white, and when we slide to the right, we see some coloration. And right about when the white doesn't affect the background anymore, I'm going to release it. When I go all the way to the right, only the sharpest, the more obvious details will be sharpened. So I'm going to leave it at 70. It looks good to me. Noise reduction. It's only at ISO 100, so we don't need it. Then we're going to adjust for our exposure. You can see it already is exposed pretty nicely. It has soft tones. We can do a little bit with the sky. We notice the sky is pretty. We're going to capture those details more thoroughly. So what we can do with luminance, we're going to press this tiny box. We're going to go to the blues and we're going to pull back a bit. Notice the huge difference it makes. It just makes so that all the blues in the photo will go darker. Saturation, we can make the sky a little bit more blue if you want to. Don't go all the way. You can go crazy with it, but it won't look natural anymore. So I'm going to leave it at about 20. 20 is good. Color tone. What we can do with the sky, we can turn it purple, or we can color it teal. I like blue. You see, this is just not that realistic. Neither is this. It's always green. So I think the color is good. We're going to decrease it a bit, so it makes a bit of a more lighter blue, which is fine to me. Next up is the sand. The sand is a nice yellow tone, earth tone. We can turn that either greenish or we can turn it orangey, and we don't like it. So I hope you don't like it either, because this is just crazy. We're going to leave it as it is because the color is nice. What we're going to do is maybe add a little more color so you can notice the sand, because the sky is so saturated, the rest of the photo would look bland. We don't want that. So luminance, we can make a little brighter, as if the sun was shining a little bit harder. You can notice the picture brightening up a bit. Next up, what we're going to do then, what I usually do is look for the horizon. Is the horizon good or not? So what we can do here is we can let it do by itself. It says the horizon is pretty flat. I trust it. It doesn't look crooked to me. Here, all the way downstairs to calibration, you can see some different sliders that we can use, and a lot of people use this for teal and orange filters. When you get the blue and you pull it all the way back, it creates those oranges and blues, the really bright blues, teal and orange. See the massive difference? And it's always the sliders you have to look out for a bit, because once you change these too much, you're going to go back to the HSL sliders and you're going to play with saturation, and it just won't look good anymore. Another color we haven't discussed yet is the color from the grass in the back. It's a nice greenish color, but it's a bit dark. So we're going to go to luminance and we're going to pull those. Do it all the way. There's not that much of a difference, but when you look closer, you can really notice it changes a bit. So you're going to increase it a bit. All right. Next up, if you want some more details out of the sky, what you can do, you can go here to a gradient. A new screen will show up. You can drop it down. Red will mark where I'm going to, what is it showing? So you can see here what it affects. Go to the beach, not all the way to the beach. Leave a bit of a gradient and not go too wild on these sliders again. You want some more details out of the sky. So we're going to go to this. We go all the way. You can see what it does. Makes it softer, harsher. If we're going to this, watch what it does. Go all the way. It's like contrast on steroids. We don't want that too much. I'm going to put it at maybe 6. 6 is good. You can also see what it does when we wouldn't have used it. It's a bit more contrasty. I like the look. If you have any questions or suggestions or want to make suggestions for what we can do in these photos, go ahead. I will answer all of them. Then what I remember from this photo is that what bothers me is sometimes people leave trash on the beach. You can remove trash easily within Lightroom. When I go to here, remove these spots, get a smaller brush, you can click it, drag it, it will look for a spot. No, it's a rock. Don't want to have too much looking like each other, because then you can see where it has been altered with. You want our photo to look as natural as it can be. So here there's a stick in the sand. Don't like that. For the rest it looks good. Hope you guys like it, yeah. But to me also have these sliders. They're the most important sliders, actually. So we're going to get a little bit more of white. We're going to brighten the whites, because if you don't, the photo will look dull and flat. And if we increase them a bit, it becomes more vibrant, like you're really there. The shadows are they're only affecting the background, the grasses in the back. We'll leave that at 7. We're going to see our exposure when we change something. We will see change on the histogram. I selected these 2 arrows on top. These 2 arrows will mark when something is too bright or too dark. When we go too bright, it will show red, a lot of red in the photo. Computer is still lagging a bit. Oh no, I'm on the wrong slider. See, when we go too bright, it will turn red. When we go too dark, some blue things will show up. You can see them. They're not there too much. But when you use a JPEG, what it will do, you will see those over brightened or way too low darks shine up really, really fast, much faster than when you're using a RAW. So what we can do with this photo is done. To me, this photo is done. It still looks natural, it looks brighter, you don't see it right away. When you look before and after, you can really see what we've done, what we've accomplished. It's a huge difference. Then to the next one. This is a bit more of a close-up to the art installation. You can see these giant horns. Oh, that's a bit too close. I'll leave it at a half. Yeah. When you press Y, you'll see the before and after show up. And then what we can do when you're lazy, you can just select both of these photos, go to the back one, and then synchronize them, and then choose what you want to be synchronized. But we're going to do this manually if you don't mind. I like doing things slowly. Sometimes I like to shoot, and then when I'm on a vacation, I leave it for a while because I'm not really wanting to edit them because it's so much work. Shooting is much easier than doing the work after. It can take you a long time to edit photos, a very long time. So I've just sharpened it like the first image that we took. Add the corrections because we don't need dark edges. Sometimes when you start photography, you're going to see these dark edges and you're going to experiment with them. And well, I don't really like them anymore. It's because when you look back, you look at these photos and they look not really natural, kind of embarrassed to look at them. And it's too much work to re-edit them. So now the HSL sliders. We're going to look at the sky. We see some clouds, but they're not really defined. So either we go with the graduated filter or are we going to paint it ourselves. But what we can do is add a graduate filter and then paint back what we don't like. As long as we're not too overconfident with these sliders, we will see that we can manage. I'm going to increase this a bit. I want a bit more drama in our image. Yeah, I like this. What we can also do is you really like some drama. You can add a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of darkening the mood. That way we don't really like it. It's fine like this. Now, here we see pencil or brush. When we click this, you will see we have a brush, but our gradient filter is still there. So what we can do is show the mask overlay, and we see that this also affects the horn, the art installation, and a bit of the slope here from the grass. What we can do is go down, go to an eraser. It's a bit bright. Let's pick a smaller brush. Does it go a bit, like this? And then we paint over the pieces that we don't want. We're going to erase it. That's a bit harsh. I'm going to go slow. So I'm not going to erase all at once, but now when I go, little pieces of it gets taken away piece by piece, a little bit by a little bit. Because when you create these hard lines, you'll see that people notice there's been tampered with. Now it's much more gradient. It flows into the photo. Let's make it flow a little more. Like this. And as long as you're not too confident with those sliders before, you won't see a bit. When we go back, to these, we will notice a slight change. You see, we see the clouds a bit more defined. That's the purpose of this. So we're going to leave it on. Next, this image is a bit dull, like the previous one in the beginning was a bit dull. So we're going to brighten it up a bit, just a little bit. When you go in the numbers, instead of the arrow, you'll see that it goes a bit more gradually. You have a bit more control over it. So that's fine. Oh, I did that in the wrong section. Go back. Like this. So let's brighten it up a bit. That's better. Let's decrease by just a small amount. Let's type it. It's also a way of doing it. Come on. Point to it. There we go. Then we're going to go to the same thing, I think. Still see a bit of blue. Let's go to the blues. Let's decrease the luminosity a bit. Those blues. Not too much. It will look like a thunder or a storm. Yeah, let's go back there. Let's brighten the sand a bit, because and this orange a bit. I'd like this orange to be a little more yellow. Let's brighten it up. Something wrong with the chat. Hold on. Aha. Hey, Joren. What's up? So, what's left to do in this image? It looks pretty natural. There's not too much, and I believe you can still change that looks a bit. You can also use this instead of the normal adjustment sliders, but I feel like I have a little bit more of control with the sliders, because here you really have to, first I need to find these dots, like the original one, around about there. And then we have the shadows here. We have here we have the middle. The middle is not too bright, not too light, not too dark. So here we have the shadows. Sometimes when you see people do this, they raise their shadows. Some people like it, some people don't. Here you have the highlights, you can flatten it off. You'll see the sky has changed. The whites, the brightest whites, they become a little more dull. It's like lowering the ceiling compared to that. And here you want a bit more contrast. You can do this. And you have more contrast. Yeah, so you see what we did. Just a bit more contrast. It's more specific, but you can also change it and do it here. I like to do it here. You can give it a bit more contrast, give it a bit more light. You also see when you overdo the whites, you'll see the highlights suddenly just going through the roof. It's never a good sign. Let's add some more color. Not overdo it. That's fine. When we look at the before and after, it's just a bit more bright. It's a bit clearer. It looked good to me. Then next shot I took when the sun was just down the horizon. I shot this using, what lens was it? Did I have the 1635 yet? I don't know. Let's have a look. Nope, it was 2470. At 1/50th of a second, we have to watch out they don't zoom too much, because when you start zooming too much on the 2470 2.8, this lens doesn't have any stabilizing. So you can have a lot of camera shake at that time. Let's zoom in a bit. Is this image sharp? Yeah, it is sharp. This bird isn't though. You can see this blur. It's a seagull, of course. You can easily get rid of it. Go to this brush to retouch. Go with the bird. Bye birdie. Alright. You can leave it at this. If you don't like it, you can just leave it as is. And there are people who like their photos to be as natural as possible and who believe that post-processing is only done by people who take everything to black and white and have really ugly colors, and that's not true, believe me. So again, when we changed the corrections on the profile, you can see that the edges are gone. They're not always completely gone. You can still see that they're a bit darker, so we're going to go increase it a bit more. And you'll start to notice that the edges have really gone bright and bright and bright. Yeah, and now you see there's no more gradient, not really there anymore. You can also see that here it's pretty dark, you can't see much. You do have this nice, very nice sky. So what I will do is I drop a gradient over the sky. The first thing we're going to do is increase saturation a bit. Let's make it a bit more of pop in the sky. Yeah, I like this. So you also have this bit of brighter sky in the middle. It's because the sun is right about here. You can't really see it anymore. We do have this very bright spot, which fades to the edges. You can either go here, reduce it a bit, or here, the brighter parts. So you're going to make the image more dull, which I don't like. What I'm going to do is go back to our gradient filter, and then I'm going to have a bit less white. Drop this a bit, but let's keep the image bright enough. Normally should take the, as you can see, you can take this, it takes a bit of the brightest part away. Still a bit more color. Yeah, nice. All right, back to the image. We're going to go see at those colors, what we can do about them. We have blue, we have a bit of red, we have orange, we have yellow, a little bit of light blue, and the sky is orange mostly. orange and blue. So let's go for a bit more blue. So to the sky, increase the saturation a bit, but also on the orange part. I like this, the yellow a bit as well. The red even. Don't be afraid to mess up your image. You can always make a copy down here. Go right click, make a virtual copy, and you'll have a second one. And you can tamper with it, and just so you don't destroy your original edit. Sharpening. This is a darker photo. It was ISO 800, so normally I go a bit less, like 45, 46 is good. For the radius I keep it at 1. The mask I always keep it 50. And then we're going to see what we have to sharpen. And we can see that this is good. So we have all the water standing. Now going to get sharpened. We go too much. There's nothing left to be sharpened. We go too little. Then even the background gets sharpened. You can see all those sparkles in the sky. We don't like it. It's going to introduce a lot of grain as well. So I'm going to keep it at 50, which is fine. Then, are we satisfied yet? No, I'm not. I guess a bit better. Am I satisfied? I think the horizon is a bit crooked. It's bothering me. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply go here to the crop tool. Crop tool you can choose the angle we're going to crop at. We're not really going to do that because if you do that, it's not really well done. You're going to click this ruler. You click this ruler, you take it away, and you can just go over the horizon and you see it's crooked. I'm going to release it, enter. It is completely, horizon is completely fine. I think it overdid it a bit. I don't think I took the right line. So let's go back. And take this line. There we go. This is fine. I took the water and then the coasts. It comes together, but I took the coast this time. It's much better. Because it is more profound, this edge, so your eye going to go again through it and it will look crooked right away. Are we happy? We can do a bit more here. You can see all this water is standing there, and there was all these edges from sand that it hasn't been eroded yet. I'm going to enhance that. We're going to take a brush. I'm going to go over this area. Let's see what we drew here. Okay, it's a bit bright, so we're going to go very gentle on the sliders. What we can do is increase a bit of this, and you can immediately see that this takes a bit of local contrast. I like a bit of local contrast. This way you can see it a lot better. When I would turn it off, see, it takes a bit more of a, yeah, it looks better. You can see now that the water really flows to the edges of the screen. We haven't really changed anything here yet. You can add a bit of white again, because it's also going to add them down here instead of only here. The highlights. It affects the skies too much. We're going to increase the shadows just a bit. See, we have a bit of black here. That's fine. Texture, we don't really have any texture. Don't need this. If you're not really satisfied yet, you still want a little bit more of color, you can still add them here. This is all colors that you can add, or go black and white. You can also go black and white here. You press this. We're not going to do that. So yeah, if you want, add a bit of color here. I don't want too much. This is fine. If you're unhappy with the amount of grain, you don't really like grain, there's a bit of grain in the sky, you can always reduce the grain a bit. Down here, I always need to find it. Is the angle here, the noise reduction. You can add a bit, you have to see what it does, because otherwise you can add way too much reduction and then all your detail is gone. You can quickly overdo it. If you add way too much, you see all these details gone. There's no real texture anymore in this card. So we can add a bit of noise reduction. Details, we'll keep it 50. Contrast, what it does, it adds local contrast between those. You can see it when we drive it all the way up. We see there's a bit of color grain. If you leave it all the way down, there's a bit less, but there's a bit less of texture as well. I like to keep it off as long as I'm not in ISO 1600. I leave it as is. So this is fine. I like it. I hope you do too. A bit more vibrant, a bit more color. This was in Paris, in the Louvre, in the section that was the Napoleon quarters. You have this big chandelier. There's ISO 1000. You can see there's a little bit of grain here. That's fine. I like this hallway just because of the gold accents that it all gets lit by the chandelier. I like it, but I think it's a bit too dull. It can use a bit more life. So this is a pretty dark image. If we're going to work on it, we will need a bit of those shadows to come out. So what we'll do, we'll add a bit of light, just some light. Contrast still looks fine. Almost forgot. The first thing you actually should do is go to corrections, because your computer knows a bit more information than you do about the photo. It knows how to correct color fringing a bit. When you have extreme color fringing, you'll better be off with doing it manually, just producing your color fringing. But here we'll let the computer do the work. The dark edges, you can see I've brightened it too much already. Also the photo is a bit crooked. I don't know if you can tell. It's because the lens is a bit raised up a bit. As soon as you raise your lens, all your lines go like this. The more you go up, the more you have to do in post. It doesn't always look good. That's why Canon has the tilt shift lenses. Their purpose is to keep the lights as straight as possible. It's more commonly used for all kinds of architecture and where you're photographing interiors or houses. Here there's a lot of detail in the photo. First thing we do is go back down a bit on the lighting. Then we see the chandelier. The lights have been blown out, but that's fine. A light is bright, it needs to be bright. Otherwise, there's no use to it. If you add the whites, you can see those details really have a lot of color in it. And this doesn't look good anymore. Way too much contrast. I'm going to give it a little bit. Even a bit more. Alright. The shadows, they can be raised as well. But as soon as we lift those shadows, notice here all the blacks here, this part goes to the right as well. So if you raise your shadows too much, you will have to decrease your black tones. And we start to see a little bit of blue in a corner here and there. I believe it's fine. So we do have texture this time. It's not all sharp because it's still at f4, so here it didn't focus here. I think I focused in at the middle of the hallway. I think I focused here. So most of it's in focus. This vase isn't in focus anymore. Very nice vase. Alright. So let's add a bit of more profound details. When you go all the way, you really see what it does. Some people like this look, but I don't. This is normal. This is about where I like it. You can also see I have a bit of a color change. This is more yellow and this is a little more of a tan color. It's because there's a lot of blue light coming in here and it's hitting this wall and this wall as well. You can see it here. This is gold. The gold isn't affected that much, but it's the paint that's affected. So the reds are really bright. I like it. The red gives a bit of a royal look. I also like the gold. Let's add a little more orange, a little yellow. When we go to luminance, you can really brighten the photo by just brightening the orange and the yellows a bit. Let's brighten those a bit. When we brighten those reds, you'll notice that the curtains are a bit lighter. Oh, look at. Then, do I like a bit more saturation? Good question. Yeah, a bit more. Also, the colors, when your colors aren't right, you can always change it here. Neither of these looks natural. It's like a party. I don't want these yellows to turn green. I like them to look more orange. No. And orange a bit more yellow. The sharpening, I leave it at 50 or a bit less. 45, 47, it's fine. Mask at 50, and again hold the Alt key and then slide. This way you'll get a clear picture of what you're doing. So, right now you see that all the details have gone white. Go too far, everything's gone. Go too much to the left, everything gets sharpened. We don't really want that. All right. You can still see that the blacks aren't as black as they should. This vase still looks a bit of gray, a grayish color. So what I'm going to do is decrease this a bit. Also decrease the shadows. Just because I don't feel that there's enough contrast here. I'm gonna add a little bit of contrast, which will affect everywhere. I think I can take a bit more contrast. Yeah, it's fine. Alright. Then, what are we going to do next? We're going to see, because it's so crooked, this isn't straight anymore. You can see it in the ceiling. You can't really see it on the floor, but actually if this was geometrically the same height as this, we could use these as points, but as soon as you go 1 or 2 pixels off, it throws off the much younger geometry of the image. So what are we going to do? I think it won't do it on its own. See, we'll try to adjust for the change of angle. I don't like it. I don't want that. I just want it to be flat. So you want to be the vertical, correct? You can do this. If you want it completely to be in the right perspective, you can change to this. Maybe if we crop it a bit. If we only want to limit ourselves to the image. No, it's still fine. Let's lose this bit of gold. Enter. I feel like this is warped out a bit. It's too elongated. So let's go back. Let's change a bit. You can change stuff here manually. As soon as you touch those sliders, you get a grid. That way you can really see if something doesn't line up. Everything has to line up. So horizontally, you can change the angles. It will be weird because it's 3D. But what I want is to change this. Oh, I think I did something wrong because I changed it. I think we just zoomed in a bit. Yeah, I was right. So we're going to mess with this. All the way here, you'll see the image gets more narrow. If you go here, it gets wide. You get a feeling of space. I believe this is too much. This is fine. Yeah, this is fine. So this is our edited image. I like it. This chat is really not in the best mood. Cannot make a connection with the chat. Try again later. Okay. What if I open it in another screen? It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So, I like this image. Let's look at the original, shall we? No. No, I want to zoom in. Press Y. You can see we have a bit more saturation. We see a lot of gold. I really like it. I believe we can still. You never know what this does. I believe. So let's go to the saturation sliders. Let's go a bit crazy here. Let's go and add some gold. Some gold touches. Let's add some more red. Wonder what this color. Let's more red, orange. All right. It's too yellow. This is fine, I believe. You can also go with a brush and add some colors. Just mask this. If you want this part to be a little more saturated, you could do so. Don't go too crazy. That's my best piece of advice for you. Don't go too crazy. You can also here, you can choose what effects. You can choose what color it affects. So I can choose just to affect this color. It will show us, say how much. How much do you want to affect this? Let's see what we're doing here. It's going to take out these colors, and you see the slider. What we are going to do is tell the computer how much of this yellow, orange, tan color wall piece we want to go and mess with. If you're not really happy, go back, pick another color. It will correct itself. Now you see, it's a bit more what you want. How much do you want? Not too much. Let's keep it confined a bit. Alright. Now we know what we're doing. Where are we doing? We're going to adjust our sliders. If you go too crazy, like this, waiting for my computer to show, it will give you the wrong idea. See, this is way too gray. This is a bit too much. This is fine. If you want to, you can also change this blue light to be more of a warm tone. We're not going to mess with that. It's fine like this. Next image of a bridge in Paris. And you can see some people standing here. This is fine to me, but if you really want to, you can get rid of them. But I believe this will be a bit harder because these shapes change because the perspective changes when you look through them. Let's just change this, and I have another photo that I'll show you, and we're going to remove some cranes. Yay, let's remove cranes. So again, you can see the blue means our blacks are way too dark. Then I'm going to add a bit of black. Yeah, we're going to make it a bit brighter. It shows the cross skeleton of the bridge. You can see right here. Yeah, let's go bring those shadows up. The sky is really cloudy, so it acts like a giant softbox. It's nice for portraits and stuff. If you're going to do too much, see it after a while. It takes a while. This is because of the raw photos. If you have a JPEG, by now your sky would be blown out, unrecoverable. So we have this bridge. The sky is a bit of a, just a white blob. The water is nice and brown, green. I wouldn't want to go swimming in it. Don't like it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add some nice coloring. This bridge isn't white. It's kind of gray. I believe it's painted. Not sure. Or maybe it has to be white. I believe it's too blue, it's painted, I think. Because this is gray, it's more of a whiter color. The perspective on this bridge is warped, but you can see this is crooked. I don't like this. This is fine, but this isn't. So first thing we're going to do is add corrections. By the way, this software is only 12 euros and 9 cents a month. So if you're going traveling, you can say like, I want to edit my photos that I took. I don't want to go and buy a year subscription. You can also buy a monthly subscription. It's a bit more expensive because you can say I don't want it anymore at any time. But it's pretty cheap for what it can do. You also get Photoshop, and you can get the ability to create a website using the servers of Adobe. This is pretty bright. We didn't use a lot of ISO, so it's good to say that we can even use 60 for sharpness, because if you have grain, you're going to affect the grain if you're going too much. Oh, this is best kept at 50. The radius, we're going to keep it 1. The mask, press Alt. You can see over here, sharpening. I just want the bridge to be sharper. It will affect the water a bit, but I just want the main lines of the bridge to be sharpened. Let's go there. That's fine. Next up, this crooked statue in the back. If you're going to do the computer, it doesn't do a fine job, I believe. So we're going to do it ourselves. What you do yourself, you do better. Except when you're doing panorama stitching without auto-aligning it first in Photoshop, or letting Lightroom do it, then you wouldn't be fine. Then you're better off with the computer. So, what are we going to do? I always get this wrong. It is horizontally, no. It is vertically adjusting the image. You can see the lines change, and suddenly the statue becomes straight. You can also see the bridge. These are pretty straight. Lanterns are straight. That's good. You have the option to just use the image. We're going to do it here. I always crop afterwards on the top, because once you press the limits to the image, you can still move it around. You're not happy, change again. This way you can change it all the time. Let's get a bit more of the bridge in focus. You can even cut away people's heads. A bit too much. Can get a bit wider. Not really bothered by this. So I'm going to adjust it using help lines. We'll get a loop and select it here. When you're not really selecting that accurately, you can also zoom in, go back. Change it right on the edge, release it, and it's good to go. Now you see nothing has changed, just because we only have one line. Computer doesn't know whether your line is, it has to be straight, has to be moved around a bit. He doesn't know. So what we're going to do, we're going to the tower, because that one's crooked. I believe in real life it stands tall and straight. So I'm going to zoom in a bit more even. Go to a 3 times zoom. Use your loop, go right on the edge, and when you go a bit on the side of the edge is fine. You can always adjust it later. Now you're going to see it move. Oops, it moved. This is straight, this is straight. The entire photo is straight. I like it. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to keep this bridge nice in the frame. Look how nice this runs on the edge. Goes all the way across. Much better than previously. Then the whites. Let's add some whites. Not too much, of course. What else does this photo need? Don't really know. I can always play around with these sliders. Also, if you're not really happy about the white balance, you can always pick something that's not too bright and has to be white. If this bridge has to be white, oh, if this bridge has to be white, we can always get a piece of the bridge and we'll adjust it. It said, oh, this bridge looks a bit wrong, isn't really gray. And you can use a bit more of green, but I think it has enough green. It also says it has to be a little bit colder, but I like it. I'm just going to leave it as is. You can turn it in black and white. I believe this works as well because of the composition. I like it. In black and white, your HSL sliders have been deducted to this. This is only the luminosity for all these colors when it is in color. You can press it automatically. Now you don't even see any gold. So let's Command Z or Control Z. Depends on you're a Mac user or a Windows user. I used to be a Mac user, but now I have 2 Windows PCs. My Dell laptop works fine. You can keep up longer, I believe. I know Macs are expensive and they're really good quality, but still there's something about a Windows PC being so much power for less money. Now you're going to see what this affects. It affects the gold. Yellow. You can make it really bright, make it stand out. I like to make it stand out a bit. You can use the orange just to make it stand out even more. The rest of the bridge is just gray, boring gray. I don't like that. Then the blues, we didn't really have any blues. So I believe this is quite alright. Just only in the back, the gold is a bit too bright because you can't really see the statue there anymore. Change back. Voila. Then I like this photo. This is in Paris. It's just a taxi driver with a bike. And he has neon everywhere. I think it's funny calling here. It's just a street It is kind of sharp. No, ISO 1600, 24 millimeters. This is the 2470. My first ever L lens is ridiculously sharp. I have some presets that I made. In all ways useful because I make presets for photos, stacks of photos that I edit in one time. These photos are somewhat comparable in lighting, so I make presets for when I go to parties and photograph there using flash. It's entirely different than where I'm going to do a portrait session. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drop the white balance. We're going to make it cooler. It looks more like natural, like you're standing there. Actually, those lights are pretty yellow orangey. So let's keep it as it is. It's fine. It's a bit more real. Color tone. I think there's a lot of green, so I'm going to make those greens a bit more yellow. Takes a bit of green away from the trees. Next, I'm going to. Question. Those yellows. We can make them a bit more bright. The oranges and yellows. Just makes the image a bit more pleasing to look at, more vibrant, more in your face. Because sometimes when you look at images, you're just feeling like these images are been tampered with so much that they're not real anymore. What I haven't done yet is changing the sharpness. Details to 50. Mask to right around here. No, a bit less detail. A bit less even. We're sharpening the street. The street isn't that important. The main thing that we want is a bit of the building and the driver and this cute little cap. And color corrections. You can see this I don't like either. I think it's too bright on the edges because it's at night, and I believe that the edges can be a bit darker. So let's go back with the darkness of the edges, not too much, just a bit. And here is the deformation of the photo. Maybe I correct it. Going to keep it as is, correct it as, then the lines are going in the same direction. Well, if we're going to look at the street, is this street horizontal or not? It is horizontal. I like the image as is. Let's change the colors up a bit. The purple can be a bit more vibrant. It's neon, it has to be vibrant. Right now you're going to see, like what I notice here on the edge. You can see it gets a bit more harsh. See it? So what are we going to do? Undo whatever I changed. Go to the luminance. Just down a little. Because these colors are next to each other. They're not evenly distributed. They're just among the edge. And here's a bit more red, and here's a bit more red. And on the edges, we don't want an edge that is too well visible. So let's make it a bit more vibrant now. Yeah, this is fine. Then, do we want more yellow? I don't believe we do. I think we want a little less yellow. Let's keep the reds a bit up. Alright. You can also change the color of the neon. But you're going to change a lot in the image, but just to show you. You can make it blue. You can make it purple. You can make it really blue. Don't like that. I believe this is fine. Let's go to the next one. The Eiffel Tower. This two different images just to show you these images are alike, a lot alike. The only real difference in these images is the shutter speed. This is 1/4 of a second at ISO 1600. This is 8 seconds at ISO 100. The biggest difference you'll see that this light at the top, let's zoom a bit more. You see this light has been moving because the lights on the Eiffel Tower go round and round in two directions. They spin around. And you can see here, during those 8 seconds, the mu of light has moved, whilst in 1/4 of a second, you can see that the light has remained pretty much where it should be. And you can see those spotlights, one to the sky, one down to the back. We're in spark all the way up. I like it, but it has a lot more grain. So if you have an image, try a bit of long shutters and a bit of short shutters, and you can see afterwards what is the best you want. Do you want a bit less grain, or is there something that is more important? The image is also too bright. Look at the streets, you can notice the difference. All of these cars, they have been facing me and they've been waiting here and driving off during those 8 seconds. And the other shot, the spotlight being here, you can see the cars standing there waiting at the lights. Big difference. Next, another fun image that we're going to do is HDR. This is the same rooftop, same place, same settings. The only setting that has changed is the shutter speed. So a dark image, way too bright image, and a well exposed image, we're going to merge them together. If you select them, go right click, you're going to compile them together so you can create an HDR, Command H or Control H, then just wait for it to compile. You will see the image align If there is anything that is out of order and has moved, and we'll highlight them. If you click low or normal or high, it will show you what has changed during those 3 exposures. We only do this because if you don't do this, and you're going to pump up your shadows a lot, you'll notice some noise in there. We don't want noise. Noise is our enemy. You want a nice qualitative image. And another thing with HDR is that it's not only the noise, it's just the broad spectrum of dynamic range they have done. You can really capture the sky and capture the shadows. Most cameras have settings for that. See what has changed. We put it on high. There's a lot of this. It just has to change one little pixel and it will highlight it. So we're going to for none because nothing of this moves. I was on a tripod, so it's fine. Then you're going to stack it. That way we don't see 3 images, we only see one, the HDR one. Has to compile, is rendering. So we have our HDR and nothing has changed. Oh, we did select something. I selected the automatic exposure settings. What this does, it's just a computer that sees like, what do we want? Do we want some more highlights? How can we show that there's a lot more dynamic range than before? One thing that it does is go to the highlights, and it goes almost all the way back. You don't have to be scared to be a bit more excessive here. We do like a bit more of those whites, because otherwise the image is just a dull image. It doesn't show any energy. So it is fine right here. I'm going to highlight the overexposed parts again. The blacks, it will notice where the blacks are turning to black. If there's too much black in the photo, it will stop. So the computer was about right. You don't need this information. It's just a reel and there's need to see it. It is fine. It has adjusted the saturation of the image, which is fine. Now we're going to do a bit of work ourselves. The image is crooked. Again, because the camera had an angle that was a bit slanted. So let's go and change that. Put it on automatic. Will it know what to do? I don't know. Does it look straight? Kinda does. Did it remove too much? We don't know. So that's why I don't like this feature too much. It is great, but it has its downsides. So we'll go back and do it ourselves. Because what you do yourself, you always do better. Select the edges. Go right here. You see there's a bit of an edge. There's not too much. The farther the points you select are away from each other, the more precise it will be. So for example, is there any glass that is also slanted but shows enough that you can work with? I don't believe there is. So We'll work with this, but we'll have to zoom in again. Otherwise, we're going to have an image that just doesn't make any sense. In the middle of the glass, also the middle of the glass. So we just changed it. It looks fine. We're going to crop it. We're going to limit ourselves to the image. That way we don't accidentally have a bit of white in our image. So we're going to get all of this information in. Voila. Enter. There we have it. An image that's HDR, so our sky is nicely exposed. Our pool is also very nicely exposed. And another thing is that the noise levels on these photos are pretty low. Also in HDR, if you have a lot of chromatic aberration, I would suggest that you remove it first, because otherwise you'll just have the slightest bit of chromatic aberration, and when an object isn't really stationary, it can change a bit, and then you have these weird orange and purple and green fringing, which isn't nice. So get rid of that right away. We don't have any fringing here because we don't have any direct sunlight on here because it was censored. The sharpness is ISO 100, so let's go 60. Keep this as 50. And our swimming pool. Again, hold the Alt key. That way we can see what is sharpened. We still see a bit of sky in the back. There's a bit of a cloud. Just keep moving until it's gone. And it's gone. Everything is sharpened nicely. You can see everything. Anything else that needs to happen? I don't believe there is. I believe it has transformed quite a bit. Let's check it. Let's press Y. So on you go. Let's press this here. It's the same button. Oh, I believe it's this. Y. Let's see. I believe this photo is fine. It's you can use it in a brochure. These kind of photos are amazing. Let's move a bit further. What else? Let's do some photoshopping. How about that? Let's find an image that needs some work in Photoshop. The perfect image to work on. The Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. These cranes are there. They're there all the time. I believe this image isn't really sharp. I don't know. Is it sharp? Doesn't seem to be. Maybe it's my eyes deceiving me because I'm zooming way too much. I believe it's fine. So, first, color corrections, lens corrections, sharpening, low ISO. We have a drill. Alt, drag. We don't want too much of the trees. We just want Sagrada Familia to be sharpened enough. Color corrections, lens corrections. Now you see those trees are a bit sad. They need a little bit more color, a bit more light. Let's saturate this a bit more so they look nice and healthy. We can just go on a tree, select its forest. You can also change the tree's color. Let's make it super unrealistic. Nope, we don't. We're smarter than that. Let's make it a bit more green. Just always be gentle with sliders because you can easily overdo something. And when you're working on something, you don't really see it right away. But afterwards, when you see the before and after, I always do it because if you don't keep track of what you've changed, you'll never notice. And you'll end up with an image that's way over processed because you always think, yeah, I can use a little bit more of this, or I can use a bit more of that. But the opposite is true. So what can we do here? We can drop those highlights a bit, get a bit more energy, not overdoing the sky. Go down until the sky isn't blown out. It looks like our sky is blown out anyway. Okay. Let's go to the blues. Give it a bit more saturation. Sky can use it. Voila. Even a bit darker, not too dark, but just a bit darker. All right. Next up is photo editing in Photoshop. So what we're going to do is right click here. Let's edit in Photoshop. When we edit in Photoshop, it will just take the image with all of its edits and import it in Photoshop. It's easy as that. I think it's already there. Come on. It's loading. Let's use this entire screen, please. All right. So we have our Sagrada Familia in the Photoshop. First thing, good thing to do is to copy your original, because in Photoshop, when you don't copy enough, you'll end up editing something and you'll go to your history and you can't move back enough. It's just because you have to keep track of your work. You don't have to edit it all at once. So first things first, I want to get rid of these creams. These creams are really, they're always there, and I just want to get rid of them. A few tricks to get rid of them. First of all, what I do is go to this crane and let's select the lasso tool, create a little box, highlight the little box, then go into the clone stamp, or S on your keyboard. You wrote it. Then let's just draw a bit here. When you leave the caps lock on, you won't see your brush, but let's just create a bit of a gap. Then it's very easy. Press J on your keyboard. It will select the fast retouching brush, or you can use the repair. When you use the repair, you can just go around like that. You will highlight it. Then just use the same tool, drag, that part of your crane is gone. Easy as that. The only really hard part is when you're going to close to the actual Sagrada Familia, and you'll end up having to make sure that your edits aren't too noticeable. Yeah, you can't see when you think you see something of a line, you can just go there and select it and go to the other side. But when you select something that is attached to something and you drag, you'll end up smudging it out because your computer thinks that, yeah, I think it has to connect to this or not. It doesn't really know. So a good thing is to prepare for that. Next thing, you see this crane gets to the bananas because it's fruit. Believe it or not, this is bananas, this is grapes, this is something else. Looks like grapes again, looks like bananas again. And there's a lot of weird things going on there. But it's a beautiful building, and I believe. So let's go around the fruit and select the bananas. There's an egg in it. I don't know. And go around the rest of the crane. So then you have a piece of crane selected. Go back to your stamp tool, clone tool. I don't know what it's called. Then you hold down Alt and you drag with your right hand on your mouse, and you can drag and you can change the hardness of your brush and the size of your brush very easily. Saves you a lot of time. Hold the Alt key, left click somewhere where you want to copy texture, and then go around your crane. You can see like this little cross next to the brush will show you where the things that you're painting will come from. And then, oh, we're painting bananas. Painting bananas again. And then Control Command D. See, we left a bit of a smudge here. Just go back to your preparation tool. Go around it. You will notice it's all blue and has to be part of the sky. You just drag it, and you never see it again. So this crane, all the way up there, has been removed. You don't really notice it. Even when you look at the scaffolding, it just looks like it ends there. You can go a bit further, but I believe you'll end up getting yourself into trouble because this is running behind a piece of crane. You always have to look for where you have to get your pieces of sky from building. Also, you can remove this scaffolding, but I believe it will take us a bit too much time. I want to get this done, and I'll still be here tomorrow. Same thing we're going to do with this crane. Just select a bit of the crane that is in between what you want to remove and something that is attached and more complicated. If you want to move your selection, go around here, right? Go back to your clone tool. Get a bit of sky there, get a bit of sky here. Always go for the sky that's closest to where you're going for. Command or Control D, and we see there's a gap again. And again, J, the repair tool, go around. And when you've noticed you've selected something too much, press Alt, go around when you want to deselect this, and just release it. If you haven't selected enough and there's still a piece left, press Shift, you'll see a little plus, go around it, and you're done. Easy as that. Photoshop's easy, you just need some time. Again, go to J, to your repair tool, and voila, a piece of the crane is gone. This is a bit more tricky. Here we have to select around this piece of Sagrada Familia. And if you've selected it, you can clone stamp the sky back in. So we'll get rid of the crane altogether. Just go around. Select enough points, because if you don't select enough points, you'll end up with jagged lines, and you don't want that. You want a nice, smooth, and a line that follows the outside of the Sagrada Familia. This goes down all the way. Still going. Still more crane to go. Just a bit more. Always have to look what you're going to move in a part of the building. I believe this is still building. Yeah. This isn't anymore. Or this is it building? No, I think it's building. So let's go and get rid of this for now. Go around the crane, back where we started. As you can see, we've selected some parts of the crane. Go back here. Get this piece of crane gone. Get our clone stamp again. Go back to the wherever the sky is, where you're closest to where you're editing. You'll end up noticing when you're painting a crane again. See, now we're painting a crane because originally there was a crane where the cross is. So we just release it, go again. Next piece. We'll always leave some trails, and because things are always nice, nice and even, or nice and gradient. The sky changes a lot too. What is this? Oh, this is normal. See here, this as well. So now, if we're going to deselect, we'll see a bit of smudges, just like before. Press J, go to the repair tool, select whatever sky you've been tampering with, and drag it to somewhere blue. You will notice what it has to look like. It will change pretty well. So you see, this crane is pretty big. And this part right here as well. Let's go around these. I don't know what this is actually. It's just spheres stuck together in stone. I don't know. Let's go around the crane. There's a B for Barcelona, I believe. Oh, got a bit of stone there. Cut that piece away. Still crane. Yeah, we selected this crane. Now this crane is pretty hard, but we'll manage. Just take whatever sky is beneath it. You have to do it in multiple times to get rid of it properly. Then it will go away eventually. Command D or Control D. This is gone. I believe there's a smudge here. Let's get rid of that. Alright. Next bit of crane. There you go, and select around that. Last bit of crane. Let me get some sky closer to it. Command or Control D. Go back J. Select it. Drag release. And this crane is gone. This is the Sagrada Familia before. This is Sagrada Familia after we're done. These cranes are gone. So go pressing Command S or Control S, and these are gone. Et voila. Now you can close Photoshop. When you've closed Photoshop, it will show in Lightroom again. No, I don't want to close Lightroom. It was an accident. So now you have these next to each other. This is with crane, without the Photoshop. And this is with Photoshop. So you can use Photoshop for cleaning whenever you want. It's very easy. Now this last photo, I was in the airport of Barcelona and I was just waiting, and I saw this girl calling whoever, and I noticed these lines. These lines are really, I like it. I just saw it. I took a photo of it. I believe it's a very good photo. These boxes and the reflection, it all captures it so well. You can also see what she's doing, like right away. I believe a photo should speak for itself without too much explanation. Oh yeah, my gas lock is off again. My ISO is 800, f8, everything's sharp. Mask at 50, we don't really have any details to go by, or the mask. We're just going to see that there's not too much. The background is sharpened. We see the silhouettes. That's all that needs to be cleaned up. We also notice that the walls are very green. I don't think these walls were actually green. Don't remember. I think it's the slider. Yeah, look. We're going to put some magenta in it, in the white balance. We see that this wall was actually whitish, but it's a lot of shadows, so that's why. This photo is another one to put in black and white. To me, this just screams black and white, but we're not really done yet. We have to go to our corrections, make sure we turn that on. Let's add some darker corners, but because we're in dark, it will show these dark gradients over the wall. This is with the 1635 f4 stabilized from Canon. Very nice lens. The widest lens I've got. It's also very sharp. It's a great lens. You can also, at night, you can even take photos without even needing a tripod. Which I've bought a new one of, but I haven't really had too much use out of it yet. So now we're in black and white. Here in black and white, you can do a few different things. Either you go for a more natural black and white, or you go for what they call a wet look. So if you want a wet look black and white, you can. Oh, that's wrong. You can use this. Actually, a wet look has blacks that are raised. The blacks are pretty dark because everything you can see turns gray. You can either see that there's nothing going to the backside of the histogram. It's because everything is cut off because you raised this. You also have to, when you do this, you also have to look for this to be at 0 at the end. So I don't really like this look. I like my black and whites to be more artsy, to be more, yeah, like you're there watching through a vintage camera or something, like something that can be more delicate. So let's get those black right where we want them. There's information we don't need, so it doesn't really matter. It's not too much has been blackened out. I just need a silhouette, so this doesn't matter if it's blackened out or not. It's about the person itself, not about what she would be wearing or the shoe she got. It doesn't matter. It's just a silhouette. Then let's add some life again, some whites, and go a bit down on the highlights because the highlights mostly affect the background in the sky. You can see a plane taxiing to the runway. We have a nice Peugeot 206 on the runway. Nice. Not really nice. Also, if you want a bit more texture on the walls, you can go ahead and increase this clarity. If we go all the way, you can see it just turns like, you can see every detail. If you do this in a house, you'll notice every single thing that is wrong with painting, or if there's a crack, or if there's an uneven surface or something. If you don't want this, you can just slightly do it in -10, -15, or just keep it as is, but I just want a little bit. That's all. Then, if you go automatic, I don't know if the computer will. Let's see what it does. Automatic. The blacks are stay the same, about the same. Yeah, it's more the sky. The sky is a bit brighter, and tarmac is a bit darker, if I'm not mistaken. I think it did a fine job. I don't like this to be gray. I want it a bit more dark. So let's drop the shadows a bit. Let's drop the blacks a bit. Let's see what has been gone all black. A bit more. Yeah, it's fine. I think this is fine. It's a bit darker. This is fine. Anything else left to do on this black and white photo? Black and white is pretty straightforward. The only thing we can do, because the shapes here are very straight and more like a cube and a cube and a cube, we'll go and use our helping lines to really capture the geometry of how it should look like. It should be very, very, very straight. Then it would look like it's always nice to have something straight. I don't know if my explanation makes any sense, but so now we're going to let the computer know that this should be straight, and between those two lines there should be an angle of 90 degrees exactly. So what it does, it changes the angle. So this is more straight, and then we're going to go to this line. Go as far as you can. More lines, you can do 4. That way the computer knows there's a box that needs to be with 4 corners that are exactly 90 degrees. See? So alright, here we have it. A nice black and white image with a silhouette. If you have any questions, you can always put them in the comments. If you haven't already, you can go like and subscribe. There's a lot more to come in the show, including gear reviews, topics that I'm going to explain or going to do a video about, not only live streams. I don't know if I'll do any live streams in the future. I will try to, but now I really had some time on my hands. So yeah, here you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. I was a bit nervous in the beginning, but we saved it in the end. All right, have a great night, and I'll see you later.